After 20 years, John grew up dealing with the same problems as before. Parents arguing all the time, neglecting his basic needs, and continuing the daily routine of screaming at him and blaming him for the problems they are having. With all the problems he has been having at home, he has lacked off significantly at school. He is currently in his last year of high school, barely getting through. His classmates are currently applying for colleges, sending their applications, applying for financial aid, and studying for their midterm exams. As a result of John's unstable household situation, he has not studied at all for his midterm and decided to just wing it. Throughout the years of emotional abuse and neglect, John has recruited to drugs as a source of release and freedom from the hostility he receives from his parents. The day has arrived that he must take his midterm exam.
Hello, good morning class. Today we will be taking our midterm exam. Please put away all your book bags, notes, everything away. Just your pencil and that will be your test. Alrighty. You guys have an hour to complete your exam.
Damn, man, this is hard. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm gonna just turn this in and hope for the best.
Have a good day, Johnny. Here, Johnny, I see you didn't study for your midterm. You need to see me after class to see how we proceed from here.
Nah, I'm done with school. Um, I ain't even gonna see you after class. Take that. Dog, I'm need you to hook me up with something, bro.
What happened, bro?
Nigga, I failed my quiz, my midterm.
I think you should just drop out, bro.
Drop out, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about it, bro. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. You gotta hook me up with something.
What you want, bro? I got some loud.
Pills, anything.
Got you, hold on. That's the loud, bro.
Thanks.
3 months later, you see John wandering in the streets, homeless with no sense of direction. As he is wandering through the streets, his high school teacher recognizes him and stops to speak to him. She asks him what he is doing, and he begins to explain to her that his parents kicked him out of his house, he got fired from his job, and the friends that he had do not answer his phone calls anymore. He goes on to tell her that he has been living in the streets for these past few months, and that the only thing that has numbed his pain and helped him forget about his current situation is continuing consuming drugs. The teacher goes on to explain to him that there are different options that he can take that don't involve him turning to drugs. She begins explaining to him that he has an addiction and that all addictions can be treated. Support groups were one of the options that the teacher gave him that can help him surpass his addiction. Even though his teacher gave him this option, she tells him that this will work, but only if he puts in his effort, and he must have the desire and want to actually overcome this addiction. At this point, John realizes that and admits that he does have an addiction, taking the first step of acknowledgement. Even though he wants to change this, he explains to the teacher that he needs help to get out of this black hole that he is in. Every time that he is going through a bad situation, he has an urge to consume drugs, and when he goes a long period of time without consuming, he feels as if he is missing something and begins hyperventilating. The teacher responds to John saying, "That's called an impulse, John. Once you feel this urge, it leads you to unplanned actions. In this case, consuming drugs, but this is good, believe it or not. If you already know that you have a certain impulse coming on, there are certain steps that you can take. First of all, stop yourself from doing anything. Then, think about it. Is this really what you want to do? Is this really worth it? And last but not least, decide what you are going to do. Will you give in to the impulse or are you going to surpass it and move forward? John asks the teacher if she can be his mentor during this whole process because it seems hard to accomplish to him, but he has the right support by his side. He knows he will be able to do it. Of course, the teacher agrees to help him and will make sure that he stays on track. With relief, John expresses to his teacher that he does have a bad habit and that it doesn't go away. Even though he tries to overcome it, he can't stop. The teacher then tells him that the simple fact that he recognizes that this is a bad habit is a good thing and begins explaining to him that there are 3 steps to conquering bad habits, and he has already accomplished the first 2 steps: wanting to change the habit and understanding the habit. The final step to conquering his bad habit is replacing the habit. She then asks him if there is anything he enjoys doing on his spare time that can help him get his mind preoccupied and steer him away from doing drugs. John then tells her that there really isn't anything that he knows how to do. He has never been interested in sports and he doesn't go anywhere because he doesn't have money or friends to hang out with anymore. The teacher then comes up with a brilliant idea. She asks him if he has thought about getting his GED and begin applying to colleges. John then tells his teacher that he really has never thought about this since he is not good in school. He tells her how he fails almost all of his classes, so he believes that he will not do well on the exam to get his GED or have success in his college courses. Even though the teacher knows that there is going to be a rough path for John, she believes in him and knows that he is capable of accomplishing this goal. She tells him that it all depends on how he looks at things and how hard he tries to succeed. He needs to find what motivates him. He needs to find that motivation that comes from within him. Understanding his world and environment to know what he has to do to prepare for this is going to be one of the key things that he will have to look at. Most importantly, he has to feel good about himself and definitely never doubt himself. John begins feeling excited and tells the teacher that this could actually help him in pursuing his goals. The teacher reassures him that everything will fall into place and that he will be able to accomplish this. He will be in a stable environment with freedom from physical harm to himself, and he will begin to develop structure and order in his life. John thanks his teacher for helping him out and for giving him this extra push that he needed to get back on track and get his life together again. He wants to make his parents proud by accomplishing all of these goals. He spent several days debating whether to continue listening to his teacher and take her advice and continue pursuing his goal or just give up and continue with his bad habits. His bad conscience kept telling him to forget about everything and just take drugs and forget about the rest. However, he had his good conscience reminding him of why he started this in the first place. Finally, he decided to follow his good conscience and pursue his ultimate goal. After several months of so much hard work and dedication, John has been accepted into college and he has decided to pursue a career in education. He wants to follow the example that his teacher gave him so he can help other students that might be in the same situation that he was in.